You can do it with a beauty career. Phone Austin Beauty School at 438-7879. That's 438-7879. And get started.
For more than 60 years, Uncle Sam's Homemade Chocolates has been an institution in the Capital Region. And joining us today is Joe Cerruta. He's going to show us how to make some homemade Easter candy. Thanks for coming along, Joe.
Glad to be here.
Boy, what a treat. This is something else.
Well, basically, I want to tell you there are two kinds of chocolate rabbits that we make, a solid chocolate rabbit and a hollow chocolate rabbit. The two biggest questions we get as candy store operators is how do you make a hollow chocolate rabbit and how do you make the cherry have juice on the inside. I'm going to answer one of those questions today. I'm going to show people how we make a hollow chocolate rabbit.
Here's the beginning of it.
This is the most, probably the most mysterious thing to people. They wonder how we get the hollow inside. What we actually do is we start with a mold that is what's called a book mold.
Yeah.
And it's got two parts and it's connected in the middle. And we actually fill half the mold with chocolate.
How long does it take to fill that mold, Joe?
I'll tell you what, if I were back in the candy kitchen, I would have had it done by now.
Sure.
But the general idea is that we fill half the mold.
Okay.
Then we close the mold, we clip it together, and that chocolate automatically begins cooling as soon as it's out of the tempering kettle.
Sure.
And what we do is we take the mold and move it around in such a way that the chocolate will coat the outside of the mold.
Makes sense.
In such a way that leaves a hollow center.
And you do that by hand with each one?
We actually do it by hand with each one.
Some of the larger outfits must do it by machinery.
Absolutely. There are large machines which rotate these molds around. And they're very expensive and they take up a lot of room.
Sure.
A smaller operation generally would do it by hand and produce all of these painstakingly just like this.
And how many do you get through a day? How many of these can you produce by hand?
We could probably make 100 of these a day if we needed to. Not a problem.
Okay. So there's one mystery solved.
That's one mystery solved. Now, it's much more simple to make a solid chocolate bunny rabbit mold.
Right.
We actually have an open bottom mold, and we just fill the mold up until it's filled.
Now that one will take a little longer to solidify. How long do you let those set?
This one we just actually have to put it in the refrigerated cabinet for about 15 minutes. And of course it has a lot of company. There'll be several dozen of those next to each other in that refrigerated cabinet.
What's the most popular, the solid or hollow?
Solid by far.
Yeah, I think
solid
so too.
By far.
Yeah, that hollow is for beginners, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, they want to break the ears off and eat the ears first,
sure.
So there's nothing like a solid chocolate rabbit. What we'll do with this is we'll actually leave it up upside down. Okay, we'll wrap it a little bit to get the air bubbles out,
right.
And we'll put it in a little rack and we'll just let it cool, and it will set up.
Two big questions that have now been answered by Joe Cerruta. Thanks for coming by, Joe.
Thanks for having me here.
Appreciate you having it. Appreciate you bringing all the chocolate, too. We'll get busy on that any minute now. Another look at your forecast coming right up.
Hot Pockets.